Hi, boys and girls. Here's chapter 9 of The Furball Puppy and Me, Rats, Rats. Remember, we left off with Gray rushing to the barn to see if he could save the little white puppy. Ice covered the long branches of the lilac bushes that lined the driveway. The wind made it crackle as I raced by. I stopped at the barn, listening. There was no sound except for the puppy whimpering inside. I gently crept toward the doorway. It was shut tight. I raced around to the side of the barn. There was a huge hole, big enough for me to get in. I squeezed through and peered inside. Dark shadows were all that I could see. My ears perked, twitching and listening. Soft whimpers came from the hay room. Watching for the rats, I wriggled my way through the opening and out of the wind. Cautiously, I wove between the piles of hay bales. Ratty scratching sounds came to my ears. I called softly, "Meow, where are you?" Only limbs scraping against the walls of the barn answered me back. "Puppy, where are you?" I called a little louder. "Gray, is that you? Help me!" I followed the soft sounds toward the back wall of the barn. I hopped up on top of 2 hay bales that were stacked there. I looked over. The pen was made out of hay. The barn served as one wall of the thing. Hay bales, one stacked on top of the other, made the other 3 walls. Big brown eyes looked up at me. The puppy was shivering in a fuzzy white heap near the back of the small pen. "I'm so scared. Get me out of here." He scooted even closer to the wall of hay. His whole body shook. My slit eyes blinked, adjusting to the light in the barn. Nervous, I looked around. There were no signs of the rats. The puppy whimpered again. "They've been watching me. They run past and show their ugly yellow teeth. Can you see them?" Squinting, I looked into the cracks between the hay bales and around the room. Small, beady eyes gazed back. When I saw how tiny and frightened the eyes were, I almost purred. "Mice! It's just mice!" The puppy's tail gave one little wag. Then he huddled down, trembling. He looked so small and helpless as he pressed himself between the hay and the huge wall of the barn. "Gray, come closer to me. I'm so scared. I want out of here." I flipped my tail. "I'm watching for the rats. I don't have time for puppy games. You would wiggle and squirm all over the place." "No, I won't. Please come down and help me get over the shivers." The puppy shook hard as he looked at me. "I'm so scared." "No puppy games. I've got to figure out what we're going to do." "I promise. Just come closer and snuggle." The puppy's tail gave another wiggle, then stopped. He trembled all over. I sprang quietly to the floor of the pen. Fluffing up my fur, I moved close to the pile of white. The small body nestled near me. Shivers came from him. After a time, my body relaxed as the little pup fell asleep. Helping him made me feel better too. Maybe there was really nothing to worry about. Maybe the rats only came in the daytime and only ate grain. Maybe the worried and scared I sensed was all for nothing. My eyes felt heavy. I finally let them close and nestled closer to the white ball of fluff. Suddenly, my eyes sprang open. They darted about the room, looking this way and that. Seeing nothing but the dim shadows, I blinked. I tried to close them, but they wouldn't shut. There was a feeling, a presence, something, somewhere that made every muscle inside me spring tight. One of the dim shadows moved. It was high up on the wall of our pen. It crept on short, sneaky legs across one of the rafters at the very top of the barn. Another shadow trailed behind it. A long, ratty tail followed. The dark forms disappeared. I held my breath. A soft crunching came from the hay. My throat made a gulping sound when I swallowed. Suddenly, the ugly faces of 2 huge rats glared down at me from the top of the bales. "Hey, look! We've been out in the cold night and dinner's been right here waiting for us." The largest rat flicked his long tail. "Yeah, nice fat little puppies. Double treat. Yummy. I'm starving. Let's eat. 2 free dinners." I watched as the big rats moved closer. The larger one stopped. Frowning, he leaned over the edge of the hay bale. "Hey, Smitty, one of these little treats is a cat. A pretty big cat. I think we can take them, but maybe we better get the rest of the gang before we start." "I think we can take him. He's been in here before and he always runs away. I don't think he'll give us any trouble." I scrunched up all my courage that I could. I was a cat. I was brave. I sprang to my feet. Only when I did, my legs shook so hard I thought I was going to fall over. "Come on down here, you big cowards," I hissed and snarled. I'm bigger than you think. I can take you both on. The smaller rat twitched her whiskers. He's not running, Smitty. He will, the other rat whispered back. He's scared. I forced my legs to stay still. I wouldn't run. My legs shook harder. Okay, I wouldn't run, but if my legs kept shaking, I might fall over. The big rat looked over his shoulder. Maybe we should just get Joe and Charlene just in case. Two ratty faces gazed down, long pointed noses at us. Stay put, little treats. We'll be right back for supper. They turned and scurried away. Above us, I could see the shadows creeping across the rafters of the barn. The shadows were huge. The rats were huge. Gray, what are we going to do? They are going to get some more rats to eat us up. The puppy started shaking all over again. I don't want to be rat food. We're not going to be rat food, pup. I'll think of something. Just give me a minute to figure this out. I tried to sound brave, but inside I was shaking as much as the puppy. It wasn't long before I heard the scratchy sounds of rat feet coming back toward us. Suddenly, I knew what I had to do. With a big leap, I jumped from the small pen, scampered across the barn, and shot through the hole near the grain bin. I ran. Uh-oh. He left the puppy all by himself. Tune in tomorrow.